I admit it. I admit it. I admit it. Ladies and gentlemen, I have betrayed my oath to you guys. And I feel justified. And I accept the repercussions. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Darkest Dungeon. It's only day 3 and it has upset my constitution, this game. This is like my perfect game. Honestly, in many ways, it's got RPG elements. It's got a lot of consideration, a lot of tactical choices, and it's extraordinarily stressful, and it is massively unfair. It's hugely unfair, but there's a way around it. There's a puzzle to be solved in every single dungeon you do, and in fact, the game only suffers a little bit when you are quite strong and you can crush the enemies, but there's a sense of satisfaction that you also gain at that moment, which is like, I'm pretty good. And it only takes the next encounter to screw you over. I wonder, after playing Darkest Dungeon now for, well, probably like 20, 25 hours in, something like that, how the actual algorithm works. Because there's no goddamn way this game is purely RNG. There's no way. It definitely detects situations and it responds. Like, you can feel it. You can feel a vicious, a malicious nature of the game. Where it's like, oh, we're detecting how you're doing. Well, we're going to screw you up. And that comes in many, many forms. It can come in the form of, like, finding a secret room. A secret room nearly always spawns when you have no key. And if you bring a key in anticipation of a secret room, then there'll be no secret room. Like, on occasion, it might work. Like, it's all a dice roll. So it's like it does a check. It's like, oh, you have a key. Well, you need to roll a 6 in order to get the secret room. Oh, you have no key? You need to roll a 4. Like, when it generates the map. Is it detects, like, your provisions, and it goes, oh, okay, let's figure out what's going on. Oh, you didn't bring as much food this time because you didn't use that much last time. All right, well, this time you can... you need to roll... Instead of usually, like, a food check, you need to roll, like, a 2 to get a food check, because you've got a decent amount of food, so it's only a 2. But if you've got no food, then it's like, okay, well, anything between 1 and 3 can now be a food check. And I had runs where my guys were, like, scoffing food constantly, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Oh, you're running out of torches? Well, here's this. And it does it again with obstacles. Like, with obstacles, it'll be like, oh, you run out of shovels. Or we'll give you, say, if you're doing Cove, which requires shovels to open the chests, it'll be like, oh, so you're in Cove and you've opened chests with shovels, then we're going to spawn a tunnel that has, like, 2 obstacles in it that both require shovels, and that massively screws you up. You take huge physical damage and massive amounts of stress. And it happens in encounters as well. I've noticed that if I'm doing pretty well, let's say I'm on the border of, like, progressing my team to a point where they can no longer do this run. So they're, like, high level 2s with upgraded gear, which means they're going to crush the level 1 missions. But once they hit level 3, they can no longer even do level 1 missions, is that you'll be smashing the enemy to pieces. Lo and behold, the collector will show up and just massively screw you up. And this dice roll system seems to be far more vicious in boss runs. Whenever I'm doing a run on a boss, and obviously my goal when I'm doing a boss run is to get to the boss as quickly as possible, because I don't want to do a million extra encounters that might result in the collector showing up, or a shambler, or something that's just going to wear my team down. You can have definitely some fights that just go wrong. Like, that happens even in a normal fight. It can just go wrong. The dice do not roll in your favor, and you end up coming out of an average fight with just, like, they dodge everything, you gain massive damage, stress, bleeds, blights, whatever it might be, and you just end up in a huge mess. And so you go to the boss. So they put, like, a ton of things in your way in boss, and I'm like, why does this always happen? So I should come back to the betraying my oath. I started the day roughly with the death of one of our members, Saralith. Saralith died in just an encounter that just went really wrong, and there was just nothing I could do about it. And I was like, this is not the greatest start to our adventure on this day, because my team was looking pretty solid. I had a good bankroll. I was like, we're in pretty good condition here, and then the game instantly humbled me back down to earth. But following that, and for the next few hours, things went really smoothly, and my team started to level up. I started to correct any issues that I had, and I even had, for the first time ever, a team that started at level 0, and they came out of their encounters, probably due to an enhancement of game knowledge and some good rolls, able to just go straight back out, which meant I didn't need to, like, retrinket them. I didn't need to put them into stress recovery, so they weren't costing me money. They were just generating money, and as soon as when they came back out, they had 0 stress. They could go straight back out again, and there were good missions lined up for them. So I was like, this is solid. This is working out really, really well. I'm in a good place. And then we went and killed... I killed a boss. The crew. Yeah, it was a sunken crew boss, which turned out to be fine. Like, I had no big issues with that at all. Was decent enough. Pretty close, but, like, nothing scary. Overconfidence is a slow and insidious killer. My main team was now back in action. They were ready to go, and they cost me a fortune to get ready, and they were as upgraded as they could be. And I was like, right, they're level 5s and 1 level 4. Let's take on a level 5 mission, because we've got to start doing these missions. They give massive more rewards, like tons more money, like multiplicative. It's like 3x the money. Like an average enemy will drop 1,000 gold, which is a big deal to me. So I was like, we need to go and start doing the level 5 missions. Well... the mission was to do all the room battles. I'm like, okay. The first encounter I had was with the gargoyles and the giant rend monster, which is like very immune to blight. Even though I had this rock solid team with bonus chance to apply blight and things like that, it just didn't land. It didn't work. And they bled me and they stressed me and they ruined me. I did 2 fights in the first 4 rooms and I needed to camp with another like 8 rooms remaining. I was like, I have to camp here. My characters are just going to die. And I am thinking to myself, I can't do this dungeon. And it became very apparent that my issue was that my guys just take too much damage, which means I need to upgrade their armor. And I'd probably fallen behind on the curve at this point of upgrading the blacksmith to get them better weapons and better damage reduction. Because they just were getting hammered. And now, I'm sure with a bit more preparation and trinket setup, I could have reduced this. But overall, I didn't do enough damage, and they did too much damage. Like, those very basic principles were in play. So I camped. Got them back to, like, full strength. And I was like, okay, let's push on. But I am bound by a code. And that code is, once we enter the dungeon and we go, we are there until the quest is completed, or until somebody dies. And that's the only reason I can withdraw. And this has hurt us in several occasions where I forgot to maybe bring shovels. And therefore, obviously, the game detected that and was like, okay, well, there's now a ton of obstacles in here, right? Or I forgot some sort of vital ingredient. I haven't brought something like that. And I know as soon as I click embark, there's like, oh, God, I forgot to put these in. And then like everyone's Pepe laughing at me because we're going to have to deal with it, right? Ordinarily, and I'm aware of this, people would just be like, oh, I'll just take the loss and leave. It's no big deal. But we're obviously streaming it, and it creates better moments, and it's more fun for me to have to work around these issues. So it's a win-win-win-win-win across the board. It's better content, it's better entertainment, and it's more fun for me to be like, okay, and there's the lesson learned type of situation. But I'm in the situation now where it's like, I can't win this dungeon. I know I can't. I've got 8 rooms to do. I've only done 1 room battle. The other one was in a corridor, and my team is decimated. Like, the fact that we got out of this alive is already a miracle. And I've already used my camp, my big refresh. But I have given myself some buffs, right? Because camping gives you, like, buffs that you can put on your party. And I'd started messing around with the camping skills to upgrade them so they had things that would be more useful. There was a lot of abilities I had on the camping skills that weren't particularly useful in all occasions. So I'd started investing a little bit into that. I did 2 more battles, and in the second one, the fact that nobody died was insanity. They should have died. Like, they absolutely should have died. I think I had 3 out of the 4 go into death blow territory, and the fight finished, and I won. And during this, I even tried to scam the system by delaying finishing the fight. I got it down to 1 more enemy, which I was like, okay, I can kind of CC this guy, or I can take a hit from this guy and give my healer a few rounds to, like, prop everybody up to prepare me. And then it just was like, no, you're not allowed to do that. And it spawned more enemies. I was like, I can't. I mean, I think my face says it all. Just take a look at the clip. Fucking gangster. And so I came out of this fight just broken. Like, broken. And I'm faced with a scenario where the entire, like, live audience is screaming at me. It's like, you have to carry on. That's the code. And I was like, There's nothing I can do here. Like, the next fight is going to eradicate me. And the only reason to keep going is because of the code. And we're just sending someone to their death. And I was like, there is nobody watching this right now on Twitch or on YouTube who would possibly continue with this dungeon. Because you're literally just throwing someone into the meat grinder. At least one person's going to die. And the likelihood is a couple of members are going to die. And we're going to achieve nothing. We're going to achieve nothing other than loss and loss and loss. And I really wrestled with this decision. But it had to be done. I just left the dungeon. I did. It was the smart move. Because we're literally just putting something... And I know we live and die by the code. And we've enacted it in nearly every game we've done on the channel. But looking at this scenario, I'm like... It's just needless. It's needless death.
It was then that he realized this really was the darkest dungeon.
I'm leaving.
Roll credits.
I'm leaving.
Will invariably
I'm leaving.
lead to defeat.
I'm leaving. I'm leaving. I'm leaving. It's just a meat grinder. It's just like killing one of them for no reason. It's not an accident. It's not a... It's not... No! Look! Look! It's just like sending them straight to their death for nothing. We gain nothing out of it.
Just like that, Mike's principles died. Sad.
It was the right choice. It was the right choice. We've got the Black Plague for no reason. I'm sure it could be funny, I guess, temporarily to lose all our good trinkets, to lose our highest level players, because that's who they were, our highest level characters. It could be funny. But we're just ultimately just going to be massively set back for no good reason at all. I already lost my healer, which was devastating. I'd lost a healer that had both of my good healing trinkets on them, and now my healers are objectively just terrible. They've lost like 75% bonus healing, which is huge, and they don't have that anymore. And I'm like, this is just bad. Like, everything is bad, and doing this is just not going to be a good thing. It's going to add like maybe 10 hours of recovery to try and fix this. And I can't do it. And I had to click the button. I will say, as penance for doing this, as penance, I was taunted and tormented and harassed for probably 45 minutes, at least until the end of the stream.
Cowards who desert the battlefield are dealt with by execution. The chat demands the blood of the cowards.
It was obviously the correct move, okay?
Shame. People used to say if Mike said he'd do something, he'd do it. Now, he lies, his word is in the trash. He's not even a clown anymore, he's an oath-breaking coward.
I've people call me a coward, an idiot, a liar, everything under the sun. So, I mean, in this scenario, I saw no other way out. And I truly apologize for breaking the code, but desperate times, desperate measures is what I would say. But my pathway is clear, right? It came out of this, like, understanding. It's like, our pathway is clear. We have to upgrade. We have to. We've got to focus on the blacksmith. We've got to get all these deeds in. We have to get our early game teams set up in some way. Because I have a bunch of, like, level 5s and level 4s and level 3s. No real 0s and 1s that need to pick up the slack here. So what my goal for the next mission, the next few missions we're going to do, is to get those upgrades done. Focus on resource collection, increasing wealth, increasing upgrades, and buffing this top team, because they're the ones that need to do the level 5 missions. They're the ones that are going to have to step in there and deal with this, and they can no longer do the level 3 missions, which means I need that supportive roster in that mid-game to really bolster them. So that's my plan. That's my plan, is to get the guys upgraded, and then we should be able to start tackling level 5s, which then puts us just one level away from hitting the darkest dungeon, which is the final dungeon of the game, I believe. I'm sorry. I come to you with cap in hand, my friends. The code had to be broken. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you tomorrow, where hopefully I won't be head in hands and looking like an orphan asking for a little bit more porridge. Bye-bye.